Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and welcome back to Farming Simulator 19. This is Last Frontier, episode number 2, playing on No Man's Land modded map. We're just finishing up a few dishes before we head outside to finish our job. We just had an early lunch, and we're going to go out and finish cutting up the last few trees. We're going to go ahead and cut around the back of the house here. Have a little jog. So we have just a few trees to go, and then we will be all done gathering these up. Now, so far, the project has really gone better than expected. If you look up at our total, we have $139,000 right now. Now, if you remember, we started at $100,000, but we spent $6,000 to get the chainsaw and the stump grinder. Stump grinder's still waiting at shop, haven't brought it back yet. So subtract 6,000 and then add in where we're at now. That means we've brought in 45,000 so far, and we still have these 3 trees left. Also, if you remember back by the sell point, there were quite a few pre-cut logs there. I have turned in one of those, but there are 4 or 5 left. So you add those in, you add in these 3 trees, and we're going to have a pretty healthy total by the time we are done with this first project. A lot, and I mean a lot, better than what I expected it to be. Like I said, in all, I expected to bring in about 30,000, give or take, maybe a little more, but we are already well beyond that. I mean, we're already 50% beyond that, and we are definitely not done yet. And these 3 trees are, pretty good size, so we should be able to get a good amount of money. And then the logs that were there are all solid round logs. I mean, that they are definitely not skinny at the end or anything where you lose that value a bit. So we should have a pretty combination between them. Pretty good additional payday that might bring in another 15,000. It could be easily that. It might be more, it might be less, but I think we might easily hit a 15,000 total over what's left. Now, this is probably going to take me roughly, I'd say, probably 2 trips to get the last of these logs. We might be able to squeeze it into one, but I don't think so. I don't think that's likely anyway. And there is one of them. See, this one's actually already been cut down a little bit. I've taken the tips off of all of them already, so I got that all out on a previous load. This one's a bit skinnier, especially here at the end anyway. I gotta tell you, this is backbreaking work. You gotta feel for the guys who do this on a regular basis. Which, by the way, I live in the land of that. The main industry in both Oregon and Washington until World War II, from the beginning of the Oregon Trail and people coming along, until World War II, the main industry was timber. And they're still very high on the list. They're just not number 1 any longer. Let's see, there's not a whole lot of space left. But yeah, this is This is tough work. Now, of course, in game, it's not actually tough work in any way. You're not telling me it's too heavy, but you're not letting me grab it. Oh, I know why you're not telling me it's too heavy. I turned off the info. There we go. See a spot right over the top here. Go. Yeah, see, we're just about full, which was to be expected. Seem to be getting about 1.5 trees in on a fairly regular basis throughout this project. You didn't notice we brought down a lot of trees. Hopefully I didn't push that all the way over the side. No, we're okay. Let's let those settle down a little bit. Looks like we have a couple more spots up here. Oh, that's the wrong one. It's really around this side. Well, there's a little more work to do here, plus the sub point. Let's go ahead and do this in time lapse, and I'll see you at the end of the project. Alright, so final total on the wood is 154,000. So we brought in 60,000, which is double what I thought we might potentially get on our very first. Now, in terms of what I need, we're actually really close. We're actually really close for that startup money. Really just a few thousand more. I was going to sell some of the other grain that we have, and I'm actually reconsidering that now. Let's go ahead and get straight to the stump grinder. It's a little tight in here, but let's go ahead and detach that. We were going to sell some grain, and as close as we are, I think let's just go ahead and get the stump grinder and then start the project. So it's 11:35. We do get a little bit of slippage with this tractor, but at 32 miles an hour, there shouldn't be much. You can see that motor load 80%, but slippage is 0. We'll see how it does turning a corner here, though. That's where you're most vulnerable. It looks like we're okay in this one. The Lizard, the truck, if you're going flat out and then turn the wheel even slightly, you're very likely to spin out off into the grass. Now we do get a lot of slippage in the tractor off the road. So we will want to build some roads here and there to access our fields. We already have a little bit of that dirt path to the eastern side, north of the lake, past the broken windmill. There's a very good chance that I'm going to try to expand that out from a basic dirt path into an actual usable dirt road like this for a limited expense. Like I said, financially we are just shy of where we need to be, but also while we're here, you can see this tractor is extremely low on fuel. So let's go ahead and fill. That's actually not extremely low, but it's definitely very low. Shut the engine off and we'll fill up. That's not bad, $111. Alright, that's the stump grinder with chains at the back, so we'll want to hook up to this side. Alright, so we're going to take this back, we're going to clean up all those stumps, which will then free up that extra area of the field, and it'll allow us to get started on our first project there. Let's go ahead and do this one in time lapse, as it will take a little while to get through all of these stumps. See you back at the end of the project. far as I can tell, that should do it for all the stumps. It's possible we missed one, but it's pretty thorough. Went back, checked. And I think with that, we are ready to begin preparing our very first field. Now, the larger preparations are going to be for the large field, the new field. We do have, and oh my goodness, where am I going to put this stump grinder? I suppose we could put it over here in this shed, as our little shed does not have space, and we certainly don't have the money to be buying a new one right now. But I do see a little window into back here. Around the there we go. Oh, we gotta lower it first. Go. There. Excellent. So, work on our field ready to begin. We do have actually this small field that's already done. It just needs some plowing and cultivating and seeding of its own before we really start jumping into everything else. Now, at least it's a small field that'll serve as a warm-up. Way to be tricky here with the edge of the shed and the cultivator. When we attach this, we don't want it slinging in and break the... There we go, we got it. Hoses? No. There we go. Oh, it's already in the ground. What the heck? No wonder it was slow. Now this field should be pretty quick to get through. And unlike the larger field, I do plan on doing a bit of the work myself. The larger field, we're going to have to set up somehow, so I think I might end up having to do the plowing to establish what the field is before I can then use Courseplay. You know what, let's keep this thing clean. No headland. We've got plenty of headland around the edge of the field here, so we'll just make our rounds back and forth. Yeah, this old, withered, weeded field is in pretty sad shape.
Everybody ask me how I know. I smiled at them and said she told me so. Everybody ask me how I know. I smiled at them and said she told me so. Everybody ask me how I know. I smiled at them and said she told me so. Everybody ask me how I know. I smiled at them and said she told me so. smiled at them and said she told me so. Everybody asked me how I know. I smiled at them and said she told me so. Everybody asked me how I know. I smiled at them and said she told me so. Everybody, 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 everybody asked me how I know. I smiled at them and said she told me so. I know. Everybody asked me how I know. I smiled at them and said she told me so. I know. Everybody asked me how I know. I smiled at them and said she told me so. I know. Everybody asked me how I know. I smiled at them and said she told me so. I know. Everybody asked me how I know. I smiled at them and said she told me so. I know. Everybody asked me how I know. I smiled at them and said she told me so. I know. Everybody asked me how I know. I smiled at them and said she told me so. I know. Everybody asked me how I know. I smiled at them and said she told me so. I know.
All right, so our original field here is now plowed, and we're just finishing up the cultivating on it. It's ready to be seeded. Temporarily, I'm just parking this equipment outside as we will get back to them today. Later in the day, hopefully, after we finish some additional projects. So this field, the original field, the small field, it is ready to be planted. So we'll get that taken care of. We do not have lime for now, so it's going to have to be as is. We don't even have a spreader for fertilizer at the moment, so that's going to have to come in time. But the field behind the house, let's go ahead and hop over the fence. Field behind the house, now that these trees are out and we've grinded the stumps and it's fairly flat, we're not going to come all the way to the edge of the tree line. I do want to leave a little bit of space for turning around, but probably to maybe where I'm standing or a little bit further out. We're going to cut a field across all the way right to the edge of 26, which is like the small field now, right to the edge. And we'll go right up to the north edge, or just shy of it. That tree line right out there. Not the big tree line, but this shorter tree line. That is right about the edge of the field. So we'll come to just this side of it, and we'll go all the way around. We're going to have to make a way around the rocks. This is going to make for a very, very large field. But also, I'd like to make some sort of road that cuts in around that backside, around that east side of the farm here. And so those are both projects that are coming up. But before we cut that field, and that'll be right through here, through this tree line back around here, we might take out these bushes and clean it up a little bit so we're not so close to this windmill, and kind of set it up our own way as we go through there. We want to leave space because eventually we're going to fill up some of this area with placeables, adding structures into the farm, and then use that to get back. Now, that original map, can't see it very well from there. The mini map, you can see it a little bit better, but let's go ahead and take a look at the world map. I think it's quite more visible here. You can see that the road dead ends here, and then there is a little pre-cut former roads that went through this frontier land, this no man's land. And you see how it cuts through rock formations back here. We're not going to necessarily follow that road. We might remake our own. And because we are sticking largely to the land as it's given, I think what I might end up doing is I might cut the road straight to here and then run the road up along the border between 26 and 27. Of course, we won't be able to do anything onto 27 now, so we might put it right on the border of 26. And then when we eventually purchase 27 and go to put a field in there, which you can see there's a lot of space there, though we might be using, I mean, you've got the forest here around the lake. We could be using this southern edge for additional farm structures, though more likely we'll have a couple here along the road, especially if the road goes straight and then turns north. Then we'll have place for some structures here. And I don't think I'm bringing the field all the way down. I think the field's going to be kind of coming along that former tree line, so along here, which means we'll have some space for structures here. And then eventually, if we need to, when we add 25 is right there by the edge of the field, by the small field, and that will be a pretty good area to add in some structures eventually. Long-term thinking. Short-term, I'm looking more at buying 25 and maybe 16 before we would get to 27. But we definitely want to expand around the base, and then before terribly long, as everything is located down here at 56, but you've got forest right in front of it, and then the road is near the edge close to 55, I think it actually makes sense more so if we're going to have structures related to outgoing items, related to the shop, related to the animal dealer and whatnot, that maybe eventually at some point we buy 55 and put those kind of structures down in this area, which is clear and open, and we actually already have this little dirt flat roadish area, and that actually would be pretty ideal to add placeables around that if it came down to it. So just spitballing kind of what we're thinking at this point, but that's going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to hit that like button. Again, the first few episodes matters a lot. So if you're still watching at this point and haven't skipped ahead or haven't skipped on to the next video, please do hit that like button. The YouTube algorithm really needs to pick this up for it to get out there. FS19's been out a long time, so new maps come along, and yes, tag searches are a big way that you do eventually get those kind of series started. But unless you're established as a farming sim player, YouTuber that people are going to go to regardless and see what their next series is, for someone who's just starting out with farming sim over the last few weeks, as an add-on to the channel of the strategy and sports games that I do already, again, it does need that assistance to pick up some views early on. So if you like what you saw, do hit subscribe, do hit that like button, and I'll see you next time. Be safe, everybody. Bye for now.